because I've spent so much of my life choosing to do things because other people enjoy them and I should too.
We take so much advice from people that we don't want to be in the same tax bracket of when we're their age. So it's like, why do we listen to them now?
Or if 95% of people are less wealthy than I want to be, then I have to not do what they do. Back to your question on, am I a guy that believes in having North Stars or missions? And I think for me, it makes my decision making framework a lot easier if I do have some sort of long-term goal that I base decisions off of. Because I can't every time a wedding comes up, I can't think through every possible scenario and think through every thing I maybe would want to think through to make the best decision possible. But having a general framework to say, my goal is to become this type of person and have a really clear vision of who that person is. And then just running all of my decisions through that framework of, would this person do that? The person I want to be? Yes or no? And then that's just how I make the decision.
Or invert it.
Or inverted. Yeah, for sure.
So it would be the way to inverse that thought.
What would this person never do? Or take the opposite and say, who's the person I don't want to be? Absolutely don't want to be.
Or
And what would they do?
what would the person do to get as far away from being that person as possible?
Yep.
Like, would going to the wedding fall in line with that? Or I think
Yep.
that's been easier for me lately is like the whole like invert everything type thing. Whenever I'm trying to, like, I was doing the marathon training, so it's like that was a pretty clear goal for me to do. It's like, oh, like, should I go for the run, or should I go to a gym, or should I go to the driving range? And it's like, what would the person do to make sure like he struggled the most on this
Yeah.
run? He'd probably go to the gym. He'd probably go to the golfing, or he'd probably, hit the range, or he'd go play 18. Like,
Yep. You probably wouldn't run.
he probably wouldn't go run his long run, at 6 a.m. on a Saturday.
He would definitely skip.
He'd probably go out Friday night, right? It's like,
Yep.
fuck, you know? So, like, I don't know. I think maybe different brains work for different thought processes or vice versa, but I don't know. That's helped me quite a bit.
Inversion's definitely helpful. The other good razor, I think is what it's called when you decision making framework or whatever. The other good one is, what would the average person do, or what would normal people do? What would 95% of people do in this
Mhm.
situation? And the logic makes sense, but it's hard to wrap my head around sometimes that if most people, or if 95% of people are less wealthy than I want to be, then I have to not do what they do.
Yeah, I
And
like that
that's,
advice from like we take so much advice from, and I'm not like bashing my parents or anything. Like they did fine. Like they got
yeah,
me doing that,
same.
but it's like we take so much advice from people that we don't want to be in the same tax bracket of when we're their age. So it's like, why do we listen to them now?
Yep.
Thing. I take that to I go sitting down with it was like Thanksgiving, and I was talking to this guy who's in medical sales, some dude's dad, and he was giving me some career advice. He was like, "Man, you got to go for the high salary, lower commission. So you want the more comfortable, stable position. So you can just, you can be comfortable. You don't have to worry about anything." He's like, I'm gonna make 200 grand this year, no matter what. Granted, he's like, that's pretty good salary, but well, I was like, what if you kill it? Like, and you blow your number out of the water? He's like, yeah, like I might make a little bit more with bonuses, but so you want the comfort, like you want the comfort, you want the stability. And I was like, this guy, and I was sitting there, I was like, this guy's, probably 50 years old. He does well. I was like, but I'm 50 years old. It's like I don't want to be anywhere close to this guy's position. Not that what his position is wrong, like good or bad, or not saying that. It's just like what I want to achieve. So it's like, why would I listen to that? Some other people might be like, you know what, you're right. Like, fuck being an entrepreneur. Like, I'm gonna go for the high salary. Like, you know what I mean? It's like, I think that's something people don't take into consideration enough is the input where it's coming from.
Totally. And for me in that situation, I have a tendency to directly compare to take his situation at 50 years old and compare directly to mine and say, oh, right now, 200K guaranteed sounds great. But I think you make a good point of extrapolating further and saying, this guy's 20 something odd years ahead of me and he's there. And so if, yeah, I could make 200K guaranteed right now and still have the whole 20 plus years to work from there. Yeah, that might be decent advice. But I don't, yeah, like you said, I don't want to be there when I'm 50. And sometimes I think we take advice like that and we say, I would be fine being there right now. You know, that sounds great to be there right now. But if you extrapolate further, it becomes a lot dimmer.
Yeah, I mean, I think it ties into like what we were talking about earlier, like goals. Like if your goal maybe is comfort, stability, not living an extravagant life, maybe you don't care about entrepreneurship or anything like that. Like I could probably go talk and call 5 people and tell them about that, and they'd be like, "Dude, where do I sign up? That sounds great." You know, it's like I think it's just dependent on you know different people, different circumstances, different outcomes, things like that.
Totally.
So
What do you want the outcome to be?
yeah,
And that's been really helpful for me too, defining that for myself. The big one for me recently, maybe I know I'm different than a lot of people, but I have had to recalibrate what I even find enjoyable.
elaborate.
I, like I said, spent a lot of my life where my family is very social and my family and culture in Idaho in general drink daily
Really?
and socially gather daily. That's a normal thing. And I remember going back after college, and my dad has a great group of buddies that they'll just go grab beers and hang out at restaurants and chill. And I remember thinking, man, I want this when I'm that age. But I don't actually want that. Like, I don't actually enjoy social situations that much. I
Yeah, I mean,
don't
do you think goals change over time?
100%. The other really relevant one for me is concerts. I There's a country music festival that they actually get some pretty big, decent names at in Idaho, and I go home for it every year, not because of the concert. Sorry, buddy. Should kick comment. Um, I go back for the golf tournament that my dad and I play in every year. The country music festival falls on the same weekend, so I always go back for that. And I always end up at the country music festival, and everybody loves it. They have a great time, and I haven't really drank much in the past year, and so I went back this past year and didn't really drink at all. And I remember just sitting there, just saying, I love my family. I don't mind I like all the people around here, but I'm not actually having any fun. And thinking like, I don't. Other people are having fun. Why am I not having fun? You know, and just reminding myself that, oh, I used to have fun because I used to drink, and that's fine too if that's the outcome. But drinking also has a lot of negative impacts that I don't want to have too. And so just because other people like concerts doesn't mean I should or need to.
Well, I think
And
that's the definition of growth too. Like outside sources would look at that as change, like, oh, Braden's changed. But the more logical way to look at it is just, you've grown. You've just outgrown old thoughts and old habits, and
yeah, and
that's that.
I have really had to, like I said, recalibrate what I find enjoyable because I've spent so much of my life choosing to do things because other people enjoy them and I should too. And now that I'm growing into a place where I want to consciously make decisions because that's what I want to do and these are the outcomes I want to have, I've had to sit back and think through what do I actually enjoy doing? And my girlfriend even asked me that the other day. She's like, what would you even like doing? Because she asked me if I wanted to go. She said she called me and was passing by a Top Golf type place, a new version of Top Golf or something.
Hmm.
She said, look this up. Like, this could be really fun. I guess my tone wasn't very excited. And she said, I thought you would think that would be really fun. And I kind of caught myself and I said, everything on paper says I would like this. I like to golf. I used to like to drink and hang out with her. But no, I don't think I would like that very much. Uh, And so I had to try and find out, like refine what I even like to do. It's been wild.
Have you figured it out?
I've gotten closer on some things. I like to compete. So anything that involves competition, I find enjoyable. So whether I think that's why I like sports, ping pong. That's why I liked Call of Duty, probably stuff like that, like constant competition and direct feedback to where I can get better and grow. Anything like that, I love and really enjoy. And then the other thing right now is just the feeling of work done and operationally just seeing these X's on my to-do list is what I find enjoyable.
That's what Huberman talks about. The best way to, if you can get yourself to get the dopamine hit from that, that is like a direct correlation with the highest performers. Obviously, I'm paraphrasing, but if you can get satisfaction from the doing rather than the outcome, then supposedly that's
Yep. I, I think Mosey said it the other day on a podcast, but they asked him, what do you like doing? He said, hard things worth doing, something like that. Hard things well done, or
yeah.
something like that. And I think that hits me really hard. And that was something I would have, from all of the outside influences that I've had and allowed to control my decision making, I had a viewpoint on that as being a negative thing to enjoy work. And even my girlfriend yesterday said that I've been in a much better mood lately.
Really?
And I had to figure out why. And whatever reason, like the last couple of weeks, I have worked more hours. Last week, when she wasn't here, I worked like 13 to 16 hours a day, not just at uh, the AE stuff, but the whole podcast and content and learning and stuff like that. That's what I find enjoyable. I find it enjoyable when, what was it? Yesterday, got back from grabbing Chipotle and based on our podcast earlier in the week, said, I'll wait to eat my Chipotle until I can edit 2 reels and just switch the order of those 2 things and edited the reels first and then use my Chipotle as a reward. That shit makes me so happy. I fucking love that.
Bam.
And so that type of those things, work well done, hard work well done, is what I find enjoyable.
That's dope.
And yes, been
Took a
crazy.
took a noted right out of the spar.
That I literally was thinking of our exact conversation. And I said, I really just want to sit down and eat this Chipotle, but I know if I do that, I'm not going to get these 2 reels edited. So switch the order, like I said to do on our podcast. Don't be a hypocrite and edit the reels. It takes, half an hour, do that, and then reward yourself. And
Yep.
yeah, even she said, you've been in a better mood lately. I said, I think it's just because I'm actually getting the work done that I know I should have been doing all along.
Right.
And I think the difference between my actual output or work completed and what I wanted to be doing, what I thought I should be doing, those things were different.
Right.
So now I'm much closer or meeting those things on a daily basis more often. And it's been cool, yeah, to make that the thing that I enjoy, or to be okay with that being the thing that I enjoy instead of feeling bad about enjoying that. Hey, did you know that people who help others without expectation experience higher levels of satisfaction, live longer, and make more money? I'd like to give you the opportunity to experience this for yourself. If you enjoyed the video and you're willing to help out two dudes you've never met before, then click this button to subscribe. You will help us more than you know, and it only takes 2 clicks. Then click this video to watch more.